Welcome, everyone. Eric Smith here with Alliance Systems, and we are back with episode 5 of Laundry Talks. And if you're new to the podcast, thanks. We're glad you're here. This is where we talk about laundry, tell stories, and learn about what some of the best-in-class textile rental operators are doing today in their businesses. And I'm really excited about today's topic. So we're going to talk with a company that has operated a mixed textile rental facility for almost 80 years in one of the most densely populated places in the world, New York City. So what happens when you're a successful and growing business? Your fourth generation of family is just starting to manage the business, but you're outgrowing your plant and technology, and you're landlocked, so expansion of the existing facility isn't possible. We're about to find out. So this is a really big topic, and we've brought together a big group today. So today it's my pleasure to talk with some good friends from Arrow Linen Supply, John, Anthony, and Jhonny Magliocco. This is the podcast for the textile rental operator community to learn new things, share ideas, and drive conversations. Welcome to Laundry Talks with your host, Eric Smith. This episode is brought to you by Alliance Systems. Welcome, guys. How's everyone doing today?
Thank you, Eric.
Doing good.
All right.
Doing good, Eric.
Well, good. Thanks. So we're going to start from the top down here. We're going to talk to John. We've got third and fourth generation here today. Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah.
And your sons, Anthony and Jhonny, are here with us today. Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good. Not bad. How are you doing, Eric?
Pretty good.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm excited to have this. We've been talking about doing this for a while, and It's just great to have you guys on. I know you're busy. Thanks for your time.
It's weird to be on. I've listened to a couple podcasts before, so hearing your voice talk to us is a little weird, but I'll get used to it.
Well, good. Well, thanks. All right. Well, let's talk about generation then 1 and 2. So where did it start, John? You want to share that with us?
So pretty much it started with my grandfather, and he helping out some friends and bought into their company, and eventually bought them out. And then my father, who was second generation, he practiced law. Well, he didn't practice law. He went to law school, and then he got drafted. And when he came out, he thought he was going to open up a law office. Meanwhile, they said, "No, you're coming into the laundry business." So he ended up in the laundry business, and they weren't doing well back then. And he made some changes and decided that he was going to stay and keep it going. And we kept on growing. And then I'm one of 7 kids, but my father has 3 sons also. And so when the facility they were in got too small, then he found another location in Brooklyn. We started working hard there, and we started to outgrow that. And then we ended up purchasing a place out in Long Island, Garden City. And it's about now 10 years old. It's very probably top technology, and we just finding now with the fourth generation here that it's grown even more. They're doing a great job running it, and so now we're looking to actually add another post-flow wash tunnel to increase our volume here as well.
Oh, wow. So one of the things I like to ask people when they come on Laundry Talks is how they got involved in the laundry industry. And it really doesn't make sense to ask you guys. It's pretty evident why you're involved. But I did love to hear how the business started. That's great.
Must be in the gene or something.
Exactly. But as far as the younger generation here, I do know that Arrow Linen has a great presence on Instagram right now. Jhonny, this is your domain right here, social media?
Yeah, that's my making there. It's my baby.
Yeah. I got a lot of questions, but I do want to focus on that for just a second because I think you guys have a great Instagram account. You always log in and see kind of a lot of the Arrow Linen trucks in the wild, which is always nice to see when they're spotted. And also, I know that for some reason you actually have some customers that have actually gotten the Arrow Linen logo tattooed on their body. Is that correct?
That is correct. We have 3 neck tattoos, and we have 1 thigh tattoo.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
awesome. Love seeing that. And also, one of the other great things about Aero Linen is it solved a problem for me because I get questions all the time about what it is that I do. People, after you tell them, they still think that I'm working at a dry cleaning operation. So now, for people that don't know, Aero Linen was featured on the New York Times cooking show, the YouTube show On the Job, about a year or so ago. And it is just a fabulous video that really does the best job of explaining what it is you do in your business every day. And I loved watching it. I don't know what kind of feedback have you gotten from that? You have a lot of people come up to you and talk about seeing that online.
Yeah. Well, I think primarily, like you said, I mean, I've had friends, lifelong friends that, I've always said I'm going to work. I'm going to the laundry, and they always picture the laundromat, right? But once they saw that video, they said, "Oh my God, I finally understand, why you're always working late. This place is huge. These machines are wild."
It was worth
clarity
the time making
to kind
the
of,
video.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
the clarity to the video created was really good.
And I know you've got that on your website. It just must be great marketing that kind of keeps giving back every single day because you kind of have that right there. Anyone can see it every time they go to your website.
Yeah, we
All right,
we
let's talk.
surpassed. I think the
Go
video
ahead.
surpassed like 100,000 views. Sorry, yeah, I think the video surpassed a couple hundred. Yeah, I think it was 100,000 views recently. So a lot of exposure. It was good.
That's crazy. It's kind of crazy. Well, but it does make it so easy to just explain to someone what we do now by just sending them a link. So it was worth the time.
Yeah, it's amazing the reach that gives you, and like I said, just provides some great marketing, free marketing for Aero Linen in your area of the country. So, so actually, John was talking about how the business was originally in Brooklyn, and that that was the facility that you were running, since the 1940s. I actually had been to that facility before, and I remember kind of being walk through the maze up and down through that facility, and it appeared to me that a lot of creative work went into keeping that facility running as you continued to grow, and started to create some challenges from you just from a real estate standpoint. So talk a little bit about when did you really become serious about thinking you needed to find a new facility?
So what happened was when I came out of college, and then we started changing over to more advanced technology in the washroom. So we went from conventional washer extractors, and we ended up going to tunnel wash, which made such a big difference. And it was so, the savings in energy, water, labor, it was so great. And I just told my father, keep on buying business, and which we kept on doing. And it ended up being that we were running at least a shift and a half, 6 days a week. And it was very, demanding on the managers and that like that. And even with the drivers, the geographical territories that we were covering, from Brooklyn, we were going all the way out to Montauk. So, we tried to figure out a good location that we could split the routes geographically, and relieve the drivers, and also relieve the laundry under pressure that we were given.
So even if you had the chance to have expanded the Brooklyn facility, that wasn't really still the best decision, because one, you wanted to move the facility, make it more geographically, efficient for your entire service area, and I'm sure there's other ways that you probably benefited by making the move too. You want to talk about any of those that you've also benefited from?
Well, first of all, we were able to buy a facility out here in Long Island compared to buying in the 5 boroughs. The prices in the 5 boroughs are outrageous. So we kept on. It took us a long time, and it took us like 4 years to find this location. And then
I've never heard that it's expensive to buy real estate in New York.
Yeah, right.
That's, yeah, I'm sure that was a big deal. So you scouted for 4 years.
It took us a long time. I mean, the benefit with that was that the 5 boroughs, every year our value of our property in Brooklyn just like multiplied. You know, it just kept on going up and up and up. So that was a great benefit that we waited so long. You know, it just happened to work that way, that we couldn't find anything, and we were benefiting by the value of the property in Brooklyn going up. But I mean, I feel that one of the best values about playing out here in Garden City is that our families live not too far from here, and especially my dad, who's 93. He still comes to work 6 days a week, still drives every day. I think that's helping him as well.
That's awesome.
Sometimes I'll get to the office a little early before me, and then I got to start waking up early and getting up, because you don't want the bus showing up before you do. But
now, what's his name? Because I've only heard him referred to as the boss before, but I'm sure he has a name.
Yeah, so
you could take a guess.
He's John.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say take a guess. You can't really. You won't mess
John.
He's John Ambrose, Magliocco. So I'm John Anthony Magliocco. My son, John Anthony Magliocco Jr. But yeah, otherwise I would have been a junior and John would have been the third.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
So let's talk. So 4-year project to find the location. You found the new plot of land for this project. By the way, the Brooklyn facility you still use that as a depot facility. Is that accurate?
That's accurate. Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So you still have that. So now really the work is just beginning on breaking ground and building a facility. So how long did that process take from start to finish?
Oh, it took at least 2 years.
I think it was 2.5 years.
Wow. And let's talk a little bit about some of the new technology that you're able to bring into this new facility now that you have all the space that you need. So you want to just give me a few highlights of some of the things you were able to do?
Well, one being that pretty much everything over here is on the first story. The building is 72,000 square feet. The base building is 60,000. Then we got 12,000 square feet on the second floor. Half of that is probably for the office. Half of that is for our garment system, and as well as, just break room for the employee, locker rooms, bathrooms. But because of when we bought the building, we raised the roof 11 feet 2 inches. So I believe we're like 27 clear now. With that height, you'd be able to automate, because a lot of the rail system runs on gravity. So because you have that height and the building, the 60,000 square feet to work with, you're able to use the gravity, which helps your automation greatly.
It gives you that ability for soil storage, sorting storage, clean product storage.
Just transporting the goods too, because in Brooklyn, a lot of the goods happen to be transported with, steps from an employee, whether they were pulling a bag or dropping merchandise into a bin and then rolling the bin to the finishing destination, and then even in the soil room, the manual loading of the washroom tunnels. So when my dad got the height with the new facility, just transporting the goods within the work area was that much more efficient.
It's a real luxury for anyone that's been able to build a new facility is to get that vertical space. So
thank God
that's awesome.
It was done.
So let's talk a little bit. That you mentioned a brand new sorting system. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So we have a Canada's garment sorting system. Has 5 rapid feeder stations. The storage area that my dad was talking about, it could store up to about 27,000 garments overnight in the storage rails. That was one of the areas that really reduced our labor costs, specifically in that department when you compare the garment department in Garden City versus the Brooklyn location that we were operating out of. It's able to sort around 343 pieces every 15 minutes. And like I said, it's a huge benefit. We really reduced our workforce in half when we opened up the Garden City facility with the garment sorting system from Canada.
Wow.
So that was a really big benefit.
So I'm going to come back to a little bit about the technology, but one other question I wanted to talk about is, even though you're a mixed plant, let's talk a little bit about what your bread and butter is. I mean, what is the main, what's your prototypical customer that you service, that you want to service, that you're marketing to? Give me a little bit of an idea of your product mix.
Well, we were more of a mixed plant prior to COVID. Prior to COVID, we were probably about 80-20 in terms of food and beverage compared to hospitality. Post-COVID, though, we decided to focus primarily on our food and beverage rental customers, and that's solely what we do right now. So our accounts are typically restaurants, catering halls, pizzerias, delis. We operate with two different route styles. We identify them as wholesale and retail customers. Wholesale being your heavier customers, if you will, your restaurants, multiple delivery day frequency. They're typically using table linen, napkins, back of the house, front of the house items from us. Your retail side is usually once a week accounts, delivery schedule, typically dealing with just flat work, mops, aprons, garments, and not any linen items. So there's two different style of customers that we kind of service.
Yeah, that's great. So you have this sorting system, and it's primarily to sort service garments. And you've got that many of them. That's amazing.
Yeah. The garment system works really great, and it does a really good job at creating those sort jobs so that everything could be processed by route and by route style. So it helps a lot when you're trying to forecast and properly schedule your garment jobs for the day.
And that system is based on RFID. So you fully adopted RFID technology on the garment side. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. So all of our garments are equipped with an RFID chip, and since the Alliant conversion, also a barcode label.
Oh, so you're doing barcode as a backup along with RFID, but the sorting is all occurring just off the RFID.
Right. Correct.
Yeah. Perfect. And
we
the
did
barcode label.
That a while ago. I forget how many. My dad had started prepping that actually in Brooklyn because of he knew he was going to be going to the garment sorting system when he opened up Garden City. So luckily I didn't have to deal with that headache because it was probably a pain. So that was kind of all ready to go. Without that, you can't, you getting the full benefit of a garment sorting system without having the RFID chips equipped in your garment is a little more difficult.
Yeah. And you've been able to, implement some new billing techniques to, account for, missing pieces and lost and damaged pieces that you ship out, you don't ever see again. We talked about that recently. Do you want to talk a little bit about that program?
That was the bread and butter for the Alliant conversion. That we finally got to utilize all the hard work that the employees did before us with equipping everything with RFIDs. So yeah, now that we're on the Alliant software system, we're able to fully track a customer's garment inventory, determining last time it was sent out, last time it was scanned and soiled. We're able to assign canceled flags to certain garments if there's staining issues or sizes need to be decreased based on inventory levels. From a service end, it just made that conversation so much easier to have with the customer. Our service managers being equipped with the data to say, okay, well, this is how many medium shirts you have in circulation. This typically goes, for 2 guys changing 5 days every week. Oh, but I really have 5 guys changing every week with medium shirts, and they work 6 days a week. Oh, well, your inventory has to be increased. So the service manager can now go ahead and have that information on right in front of them when they're handling a service call, and can go ahead and generate a work order so that their inventory levels can be properly maintained and the customer can get serviced correctly. But just from that essence of being able to have the data and understand what a customer has in inventory assigned to them is huge. And then, then you have the ability to track your losses, which is also, a very challenging part in this business.
Well, that's great to hear. I'm going to turn back to Jhonny. We're not going to let him off the hook here. So since he's more on the social media side, A couple of questions. So this had to have been a big move for your customers. I'm just curious, how did you explain the move to your customers? What did they think of it? Did you lose some customers? You probably gained a lot with just the geographic move, but how did that go over with your customer base?
Yeah, well, early challenges were right. We were dealing with paper invoices for the most time. So the conversion brought, getting email contacts, moving to digital invoicing was a little different for customers, signing handhelds when the driver shows up. So there was a little challenge at the beginning. It really didn't last long, but the benefits, to me outweigh all the cons, or the issues we had, particularly with the automatic garment replacement program that we're doing and the garment coverage. Because like Anthony said, not only are we able to track the losses, but now we can go to customers, we can explain, listen, you have 20 shirts in inventory, but 13 of the 20 haven't come back. And, that's the reason why you're having issues with your garments. And then just having that conversation with them, what the automatic garment replacement program does, it basically replaces the garments that go missing after a certain amount of days. And honestly, from my interaction with customers, because I have been going to some customers to educate them on this program, they love it because it's alleviating the stress from their end, because they're having employees, back in the old days, they have employees coming to them saying, listen, I'm missing uniforms, and they don't really care where the uniforms went, right? They don't, that's not their headache to worry about. They don't care where the uniforms went, but they want to know, how can I, ensure that I have the right amount of garments in circulation and that my guys are always dressed in uniform. So, that's kind of separated us from our competition, I would say, is, we're able to help manage your uniform service, and guarantee that what you need on hand is always there.
Yeah, that's great. And, it's always interesting to see how customers, or how quickly they're able to adopt technology, and whether it's the RSR or the customer, sometimes there's a little bit of hesitation, but usually those things just end up moving forward and people adopt the technology naturally. I had a follow-up question because you were telling me, Anthony, that pre-COVID, 80% F&B, today even heavier F&B. The F&B operators were really some of the hardest hit at the outset of COVID. It's amazing. You're bigger today than before the pandemic. Tell me a little bit of, what was that like for Aero? It must have been a little bit of some nervous times.
Yeah, it was pretty nerve-wracking. I mean, when you see your sales dive like 95% in a week, it's kind of scary. Through the pandemic, we actually did stay open too. We operated, I think it was the lowest, 2 days a week, if I'm not mistaken. Reason being is, luckily with those, wholesale retail customers I was discussing with you before, basically everyone became a retail customer for a year and a half, because there was only takeout and what we were able to service our customer with was all the flat work business. So mops, aprons, garments, customers were still using. We couldn't operate a 72,000 square foot with that, so that's why we only operate, twice a week or 3 days a week. So having those customers prior to the pandemic hitting, and then having our routes already geared to servicing a customer that size, helped us through those challenging times and kept us going. And then, remember during the pandemic, it was like there was a shutdown, then we were open again, then there was another shutdown. So scaling between 100% retail routes, and then it's like, okay, hey, we're opening up outside dining. Oh, now we got to get some wholesale routes on the road. We're closing back up. Okay, now we're going full retail. So having that, set up prior to the pandemic and that understanding of our customer base, I think helped us through the transition and allowed us to come out stronger. And it, we were open, and we were servicing our customers, and it did lead to some newer customers coming on just because we were able to deliver to the service that they were looking for.
Yeah, I always love hearing about, it's amazing how creative people can get when they have to.
Yeah.
And even the restaurants that you saw opening up, special areas outside on the sidewalk, or they even built small decks that extended into the street. And here in, where we're located in Dallas, you still see some of those structures to this day. They've just permanently expanded their outdoor seating, and they never closed it down. So,
sure.
That was a little bit of a lifesaver for a lot of businesses.
Yeah, for sure. And to your point too, I mean, it kind of did allow outside dining to stick, even in the city and New York. I mean, it's the same thing so the city just actually rolled out a whole outside dining program for, how they're going to be managing the infrastructures that are outside. They call it sideway cafe dining and road cafe dining. And there's all these different parameters and things that customers have to maintain. But I mean, they just increased their seating area by however many feet. So it's actually a help for us too. And that was one of the good things to come out of COVID for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, good. Anything else that you put into this plant that you're excited about? I think I maybe even read on your website that you've got solar power at this facility. Is that accurate?
Yep, that's accurate. I think we're on I want to say sixth year with the solar panel system. I think remember how many panels are up there.
What's your experience? Do you mind just sharing what your experience has been with that?
I think we have what, over 1,000 panels?
Yeah, over 1,000 panels. The experience has been great. I mean, the install was like all installs are. I mean, you try to hope they go smooth, and there's always some hiccups. But working with Power Radar and other energy companies that got everything done was good. And now, it really does run itself. I mean, a couple of inverters might go out here and there that we have to call in to get serviced on, but other than that, I mean, it's generating a lot of energy for us, and it does help with our electric bill for the month.
So even though you have moved, out to Long Island, you have all the technology in the world at your disposal. There was some really, unique things that you had at your Brooklyn facility. One of which was, I think, how you were generating power. Do you mind just sharing a little bit about what was going on in Brooklyn?
Yes, so when we first bought the Brooklyn facility, it was a Cascade diaper plant, and they had a water tube boiler. It was a Bigelow, a water tube boiler, and they had 2 Ames steam generators. The generators would get the steam from the boiler and produce electricity. That electricity was like 90% of our needs for the plant. Plus, we had Con Edison at the time. When those AIM generators were outdated and it was hard to get parts, you actually had to get them machined. We decided to look into cogeneration. NYSERDA at the time was doing a program, and they gave us a lot of tax incentives. So we decided to replace the boiler with a 500 Cleveland Brooks boiler, and we decided to buy 2 150 kilowatt generators and put them on the roof that would produce like 90% of our needs. That was one of the biggest technology savings. And then, of course, the tunnel washers. We went from conventional washers, which used a lot of labor, water, and electricity, to the tunnel washers. Tunnel washers was a great move. Those are the 2 big technologies that we felt that was like a move. It put us on the map. Put it that way.
That's great. And even though Brooklyn's operating only as a depot, those generators are still powering on and powering that facility today.
Well, they're there. We don't use them.
Okay, never mind.
They're there because right now the only electricity we really have is lighting and conveyors.
Gotcha.
So to start them up and maintain them doesn't really make sense at the point right now.
Okay. So a couple final personal items I want to ask. One is, New York's such a great destination, and everyone's got their recommendation on something to do in New York. But I'd like to ask each of you, tell me something that tourists such as myself, what is an unknown thing, a hidden gem, something to do if I come up there for the weekend? What's your favorite thing about the city or outlying area?
Oh, that's a tough one. Well,
we can think about that for a minute, and we can
come. So much to do in New York weekend.
Yeah, what it is though. People that live in New York take advantage of living so close to the city and not taking advantage of what goes on in the city. Like tourists. I mean, I guess the right way to do it is spend the weekend in the city and just visit all, the great things to see.
Go see a Ranger game. Root for the Rangers.
On vacation.
All right. So we got a hockey fan, right?
Yeah, we like the Rangers.
Yeah, go see the Rangers
night. Go see
all right.
MSG is the place to go.
Okay, Madison Square Garden. Perfect. Okay, another question I've got is back a little bit more about the kind of transformation you guys have gone through. So, what would be any advice to similar business that's kind of, hitting the ceiling, outgrowing their space, and they're considering the expansion? Any words of wisdom as they kind of embark on a similar journey?
I might have to pass that off to the guy who bought the second building. So, any learning lessons you want to give us along?
Yeah. Price is always a big factor, but one of the most important things is to make sure the location that you pick out that your workforce could get to. A lot of people, they'll find something and then they'll build something, and all of a sudden, how are we going to get our workforce here? If there's not mass transit, because not everybody drives. In Long Island, more people drive than I would say in the 5 boroughs, but mass transit is it's something that definitely have to look at. That being number one, and number two, you gotta. We felt that we have to find a building where our workflow, where the soil comes in and the clean go out. You want that kind of workflow. You don't want contamination from the soil being, in where you're doing production, your processing, your finishing. And then of course, you also need parking for your trucks and your employees. So those are like 3 major things I would say.
Yeah, I would add too. We go try to tour around and see many laundries, and like my dad said, the process flow of our laundries compared to some of the ones that I have seen is something I think people need to keep in consideration when they're purchasing a new facility. Keeping that soil separation on a separate side of the facility compared to where your clean is, and ensuring there's a flow to the way production's running is important. And I would just add to when you're purchasing a new facility, to understand the capacity restraints and the capacity limits that you want to set. So, go into it knowing how much pounds you want to max out there, and then how many pieces you want to finish on the side, and how many routes you want out of there. This way you could properly understand how much you need to fill to reach capacity at that plant, and kind of continue going on that aspect.
And you still have capacity to continue to grow. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep. We still have capacity in Garden City. That was part of the reason why we decided to transition to 100% food and beverage, because if we did have the hospitality poundage right now with our current size, it would be a different story. But being able to focus on F&B has left us with some room to fill here.
And then another thing to add is you got to do your due diligence on water, on sewer, on electricity. You will make sure that the municipalities are set up for you, and they're set up for vice versa. We bought this building thinking that's the sewer treatment can handle us, and like 5 years later, they say, well, we need you to reduce your TPH. So we had to put a whole we ended up putting a whole wastewater system in, which we weren't expecting to do. But, you got to do your due diligence, definitely.
Great. Well, I feel like this was just a very informative discussion. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy hearing about your story. We're so excited to hear about your success, and I know we're going to continue to see you guys grow, continue to see all the exciting Instagram posts, and look forward to seeing the next chapter and maybe a 5th generation of Arrow Living.
I got a lot of hours to give to this place first.
Yeah. So anyway, appreciate you guys. Thank you for joining the show.
Appreciate it, Eric. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us for today's podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. We've got a great resource that you can fill out. If you're interested in learning how to streamline your routes, we've put together a ROI calculator that just takes a few pieces of information about your operation and will run the numbers and tell you how much money and time you can save every day. Click the link below if you want to go to that webpage. If you're listening, you can go to the alliancesystems.com website, click on resources, then click on Laundry Talks podcast, and you'll find a blog recap of every podcast and a link to that calculator. Thanks.